to wrap up our discussion about the League One Classic, we're going to pick our kind of dream team from the tournament. So 1 or 2 players from each position, picking out who we thought was the best. So we can start off with the setter. I think we're kind of in agreement that we're going to take Micah Hancock.
Hands down.
Yeah.
I feel like she showed it, obviously, that she can run the offense perfectly, get people involved, and still get it to her star player.
Yeah, I think she did everything this tournament, serve, swing, everything. Jordan Poulter also set a really good tournament, so shout outs to her, but I don't think she was better than Micah Hancock.
And I think Micah Hancock has shown that she has a really good overall game, right? She's serving well, setting, obviously. And defensively, she's been doing pretty well, too, so.
Yeah, so then we'll move on to a little bit more of a discussion. We're going to pick our outsides. I think our lock has to be Logan Eggleston. I think she played out of her mind this tournament. Passing was just as good as anyone else, and then she was swinging probably just as good as anyone at the top of the outsides. So she's best of everything.
Yeah, I think the only knock would have been her passing, but she passed decently for the whole tournament, so I think you have to give it to her.
Yeah, played super well. Can't argue that. Next, it's going to be a little bit more of a discussion. I think Kelsey Cook is a name that comes to mind. Jess Merzick, Rishel. I think all 3 of them played super well, played super good defense. So kind of similar to Logan Eggleston in that way where it's a balanced player. But I would lean a little bit still in the end towards Kelsey Cook. I feel like she was super reliable for her team. Leadership, I guess, is something we have to take into account also when picking a team. And I think just as a player that takes on a role for the team, I think she had like the biggest role out of any of the outsides.
Yeah, I think you have to give a little bit of respect just to the outsides for Houston, just because of how well they played and the fact that they won. But I think you still have to give it to Kelsey Cook. I think she's obviously still just been one of the best serve receiving and defensive outsides in the league. And offensively, she's still been solid. I think she's had her rough games here and there, but at least during this tournament, I think she was still solid. So you can't really knock her on that.
And I think one thing for Kelsey Cook that we're going to have to give her more points for is that when it was looking like the sets were getting close, it was the end of the set, the coach was going, set Kelsey Cook. They were telling Fairbanks, set her. Don't set anyone else, just set her. Give her the ball and let her handle it.
Yeah, so I think we have to take Kelsey Cook for that second spot.
So those are outsides. For our middles, again, a little bit more of a discussion. Our lock is probably going to be Amber Igidi. I think she played near perfect this entire tournament. She was the most offensively usable middle the entire time, and then she was probably one of the best blockers as well. So no flaws in the game, really.
Yeah, I think she was always available, which obviously is super important for a middle. And again, defensively, I think blocking-wise, she was really good. So, and you have the really big game in the finals. Yeah. So I think you have to give her that. So she'll be the easier pick for us for the middle.
Now let's try and figure out who our second middle is.
Yeah. I think you have to throw in Obogu just because of how well she's played this whole season. But you have to look again. I don't know how great they really looked. Yeah. Obviously, they went into third place, but she didn't have a great game personally.
It wasn't like the same offensive carry that you see from IGD. And I also do just randomly want to shout out Molly McCage for her one game, but it also was only one game.
She did have the one crazy game, though. It was crazy.
If she had a weekend like that, we're probably putting her on the team, but it was just one game, so sorry.
And I think that's kind of what hurt Obogu, too, I think. That Molly McCage kind of outshined her in that one game, so.
No, that's definitely tough. I think Tia Jimerson's obviously a very, very strong choice. Atlanta, she's like a big blocking presence for them, and a part of the reason why their defense is so good is she can get a lot of touches, super athletic. She doesn't miss out on being there for a lot of blocking assignments, so super solid pick also. Emily Thader also had a good tournament. I think we have to respect that. Obviously, Omaha didn't have the positive results, but Emily Thader kind of was there. She was one of the bright spots for them, especially offensively where they were lacking. So she's important, but I'd still give it to Tia Jimerson.
Yeah, I think Tia Jimerson, we've seen her be a really good blocking middle. And you would also see her be pretty good offensively, but I think this weekend was really good for her offensively. She was kind of in that role of being available as much as you probably can.
Yeah.
And it helps when you have a really good passing team like Atlanta,
Yes.
where she can definitely get the ball. So I would also go Tia Jimerson.
Okay, sounds good. So those are our two middles. Moving on to our right sides, again, another more obvious pick, but we're going to pick Jordan Thompson. Obviously, the best right side, probably had the most kills the entire tournament and the most usage, so nothing to argue there.
Yeah, I mean, we could give shout-outs to Danielle Coutinho. I think,
Yep, stepping into that role.
yeah, without Tessa Groves playing in this, I think you would think that Atlanta wouldn't have done as well, but Coutinho showed up, and she did play really well. Again, you'd also look at a player like Druvniak. You've known that she was the offense focal point for Omaha, but I think hands down you have to give it to Jordan Thompson.
Yeah,
I don't
I
think
mean,
there's any discussion here.
Elite. Yeah, nothing more we need to say. She's too good.
Yeah,
Yeah, best
Case closed.
right side in the league.
hands down, Jordan Thompson right side.
Yeah. And then we can move on to the liberos now. I think this is a little bit of a discussion again. At least for me, I didn't feel like any of the liberos stood out too much. I think everyone played super well. But when looking at libero performances, I think we're going to have to take it down to the two top seeds, Pinoy and then Pogany. I think for these two defensive like monsters in Houston and Atlanta, I mean, part of it is the liberos.
Yeah, and I think, Pogany kind of gets overshadowed by the bigger names that are in the league, like Justin Wong-Orantes. I feel like, and Kojima. I feel like Kojima kind of got a lot of attention early on in the season because she was making such great plays. But Pogany has been solid the whole time. I feel like she hasn't been kind of a hole in that team. So you kind of have to give her the respect. But I would still pick Pinoy. I think me personally, I felt like she's been the best libero this whole season. Just because of her serve receive. I think her serve receive has been solid pretty much every single time. You don't even want to serve her because of that. And defensively, she's been holding it down. I think she's a huge reason why Atlanta is probably the best defensive team.
Yeah, and I think she takes very, very good leadership of the court. So I think that's another important highlight. She's probably the best defensive, maybe besides Justine, but that might also be a comfort thing. But I think Pinoy takes extremely good command of the back row, and I think that's something that needs to be respected with liberos.
For sure. So we'll have to take Pinoy.
Yep. And that's our dream team for the League One Classic.